Well, hello everyone. It's that time again. It's Generation X-Men, where you get to hear three Gen Xers talk about X-Men. What we love, what we hate, and just how much it all sucks today. I am your host, J.Ishiro Finney, author and alien in a human suit, and the mind behind the ever-famous, hold on, Boobs of Steel, Decoding the Amazon, Busty Heroines versus the Culture War, which gives a comprehensive deep dive into the Amazonian archetype from the Neolithic era all the way up to now, talking about the archetypes, why they matter, and what we're dealing with now, what we're losing. So seriously, it's going to be the most, more than few people will tell you, it is the most interesting and fun pop culture book you'll ever read. Available on Amazon.
Yes, it is.
So joining me is...
Oh, Janelle, I make alcohol for fun.
But not profit, just fun.
Yeah, just fun, not profit.
Yeah. Alcohol is its own reward.
Yes.
And I am your Grim Kronk, also known as Dr. Henry P. McCronk. I shall be diagnosing your X-Men troubles tonight.
And tonight, our topic is going to be yet another top 10 list of worst retcons to the X-Men or the Mutant X universe. And we're going to decide whether it's sour grapes or if they got a point.
All right.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I need to make a clarification, and actually this goes in good with the first part of this video, which is top 10 worst X-Men retcons we still can't believe part 2. This is going into Nightcrawler, how he was conceived. I thought that Mystique was a gene shifter. Oh no, she's a gene shaper.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so, yeah, apparently because she's a gene shaper and she did the nasty with Azazel, she was able to copy his entire reproductive system. And that's how she impregnated Destiny. So there you go, guys. She is no longer a shapeshifter. She's not even a gene shifter. She is a gene shaper. Because right now all mutants are OP as fuck.
Yeah.
It's just getting more ridiculous.
But
Oh, yeah. Okay,
they're no longer the underdogs.
No, they're not. And that's why I find it absolutely stupid that they're still trying to play the victim in the comics, because they're not.
Yeah, my favorite version of Wolverine, just real quick, was when he would get stabbed by multiple ninjas, fall down on the ground, and then heal and surprise them when he hopped back up to his feet and chopped them to pieces. That was my Wolverine. Not indestructible, I'm just a skeleton fuckface Wolverine who looks Cyclops in the eye. And is best friends with Captain America. Fuck you, no, that's not.
How can he look Cyclops in the eye when he's a full head shorter?
He is literally a foot shorter than him, but because, like we've talked about before, the X-Men movies have Hugh Jackman looking, what's his name, Madsen in the eye all the time.
That's because Hugh Jackman's like 6'6".
Oh.
Is he?
Yeah, he's like a tall drink of water, man.
He's a huge Jackman.
Yes.
Totally jacked. So yeah, no, that was my Wolverine, not this yellow and blue wearing 6 foot tall Cyclops buttfucker.
All right, so you found this list, Janelle.
No, actually, this was Dominic Powell that found this list and sent both lists to Kronk and I. So we can thank Dominic because he did the research.
Thank you, Dominic.
Yes, thank you.
We appreciate when you guys suggest. We check things out, gives us topics.
Yeah.
So yeah, he just asked Kronk and I, thought it would be a good topic for, do 2 shows based on both top 10 lists. So we did one last week and we're going to do the other one this week, this is the more batshit insane, or no, this shouldn't have happened and this is stupid and actually had to be re-retconned back. So the first one was actually Nightcrawler's parentage, but I went into that last week and I did she's no longer a shapeshifter. She is a gene shaper. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So the first one is Wolverine. This is kind of weird. I don't know if this is really a retcon or what. But apparently, instead of, when Wolverine dies and he heals and comes back to life, instead the retcon was he dies, he goes and he fights the angel of death in hell and has to fight his way back to life again, and that's how he resurrects himself. I'm like, that is so convoluted. And
Yeah.
apparently sometimes Wolverine doesn't want to come back if something happens and he just rather stay dead. So apparently he stays brain dead. Now that is stupid as hell. Also,
Right.
I feel like they are ripping off the Mummy book from White Wolf, because if anybody played the Mummy book, I can't remember, it was Mummy the something. But when you play a mummy and you get killed in game, you have to fight your way back through the, Egyptian underworld to get back to real life. And that sounds exactly what they're having Wolverine do. So somebody played a little too much White Wolf, I think, and thought it would be cool for Wolverine, but I think it's just stupid. Let's just stick to no, he has a healing factor, and you literally have to vaporize his brain and spinal cord for him to not come back. Period. Thank you, Mummy the Resurrection.
I'm just going to say outright, as a Gen Xer, it is my culture and my right to say, that's fucking retarded.
And if you were wrong, we would call you on it.
That
Yeah.
is fucking retarded.
That's so dumb.
Wolverine fighting the Angel of Death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, somebody ran out of ideas.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely stupid. This one is, it doesn't even, it's not even disgusting or anything. It's just stupid. It really is. Really? Because you've seen in alternate universes, alternate timelines, well, Wolverine has been killed. I mean, Days of Future Past, the Sentinel, the Nimrod, just blew away and destroyed and vaporized every single organic part of his body to only where the adamantium was left on the ground. I mean, it was he did not come back from that. Wolverine was dead.
Days of
Didn't
Future Past.
Phoenix do that to him? Yeah, or not Phoenix, Madeline, the Goblin Queen, do that to him as well?
Yep.
In a What If?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, she had
Yes.
I think the Phoenix, right? Or what did she just do with the Soul Sword?
I don't remember. I just know that he got toasted to bones.
Yeah. One of the
And didn't come
penultimate
back.
powers of Marvel.
And when Chris Claremont did his Ultimate X-Men Forever, which picks up after X-Men 3, and because this is when Jim Lee finally stole the book from him and where he planned on having the story go. This is convoluted as hell, but this is another example. Storm apparently was actually evil because it wasn't really Storm. Somebody hijacked her body and Storm was still a little girl trapped in Genosha. I know, really convoluted. But this person who had hijacked Storm's body fried Wolverine to the point that the only thing that was left was his skeleton. There was no organic matter. Wolverine was dead, which was really interesting to find out that's what Claremont had planned for Logan. He was just going to kill him off permanently. It's like, all right. But yeah, that's another example.
Well, they did I know they also did Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, I think 2 or 3 times, whatever. But they did a Punisher versus the Marvel Universe, and there was in the story there was a Skrull invasion. It was, of course, the battle happens in Central Park, and it's X-Men, Fantastic Four, Daredevil, Spider-Man, everybody, Avengers, everybody shows up to try and help. The X-Men are there. They're like the least powerful group of all, but they they're in there trying anyway, and they fail to save Frank's family. So what does the Punisher do? He decides to kill the entire Marvel universe, and he starts by shooting Cyclops in the face. How does the rest of the X-Men not just kill him on the spot? I don't know, but eventually, okay, he shoots Bruce Banner while he shoots the Hulk while he's Bruce Banner and asleep. Okay, kind of smart. But he kills Wolverine by throwing him into some sort of incinerator generator thing that destroys all the meat on his skeleton. I'm like, how did Wolverine not get snuck up on for Castle to do that. He's not a fucking ninja. He doesn't have powers. Didn't have vibranium shoes on. He's
No.
just G.I. Joe with a temper.
Yeah, he would have smelled him, because that's another thing people forget sometimes. Wolverine has heightened senses. He will
Yeah.
smell him. Didn't we
Mhm.
talk about that last week, that Wolverine hates the X-Mansion when everybody's on their period? Because he
Yeah.
can smell it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, he got him. The guy with guns. He just grabbed him and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not
No.
saying he's completely invulnerable and invincible and all this shit, but like Castle should not have too many chances if Wolverine knows he's coming.
Agreed.
He just shouldn't. But anyway.
Yeah, so that, I don't know if that retcon got changed back, but I have never really heard of it again. It was very stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, William Silva said this was a Garth Ennis thing. Or was that for the Punisher? Because I know Garth Ennis wrote the Punisher for a while. Punisher
Yeah,
Max.
this was a new What If, like, I want to say came out probably like, okay, new to me is 5 years ago for how many comic books I've read that are new in the past 5 years. So it was just the other day to me.
I like I said, I've stopped reading. The latest comic book that I got was a trade paperback of a bunch of old Captain Britain comics written by Chris Claremont and Alan Moore. It's another like, not an omnibus, but a trade paperback that has some of the best stories in it.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, that was number 2 on the list. Number 3 is one that makes absolutely no sense. And this is when they were trying to not only kill off all the X-Men, but disassemble them and put all their what they figured was cool, into the Avengers universe, because Disney didn't have the rights to X-Men yet. Phoenix is Thor's mom. Now, yeah, this was stupid. So they did, like,
How does that work?
Oh, let me tell you, because I remember this.
It doesn't.
And I stopped.
Yeah,
I stopped reading it because it was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
So they did, like, you remember the movie 1 Million BC with Raquel Welch?
Yeah.
They did it with the Avengers. It was 1 Million BC Avengers, and the Avengers were led by Odin, and his lover was the Phoenix. And I don't remember the whole thing, because, like I said, I read maybe
the
one
Panther
issue.
God.
Yeah, the Panther God. You had the first Iron Fist.
Vashtu, the thing that Doctor Strange is always talking about, was a walking, talking person at the time. There was some other stupid throwaway ideas that were so awful.
Yeah, so apparently, guys, the Avengers lived in 1 million BC and were superheroes back then. It was really fucking stupid. Like I said, I lasted one issue. So Odin was, this is where they changed that, or they were really trying to go into the whole, the Phoenix wasn't a energy being. The Phoenix was actually a god that inhabited humans as an avatar.
Mm-hmm.
And so Odin and the Phoenix bumped uglies, and Thor was born. So Thor's gone through some retcons too, where Frigga was his mother, or Freya, I'm sorry. And then Gaia was also his mom. I mean, really stupid shit. But this one takes the cake. Well, fans were like, no, no, and no, this is dumb. So they retconned it again to where Gaia was still Thor's mother, but when Thor was a baby, a frost giant apparently stabbed baby Thor and froze him and turned him into little infant Popsicle.
Thorsicle.
And the Phoenix Thorsicle. Phoenix came to the rescue and gave him some of her Phoenix energy that brought him back to life, and Thor was healed. And so Thor apparently is part of the Phoenix and has some Phoenix powers.
Well, again, I will, to quote one of our favorite phrases, since we are the Gen X or Generation X-Men podcast, that's retarded. In fact, fucking retarded. Jerry's kids level retarded.
Oh, are you kidding? Jerry's kids are fucking saying that's retarded.
Yeah.
They're like, that's too dumb for me. I don't like it. And they're right.
And then they're also asking, why didn't I get any money from that guy? Anyway,
So yeah, Thor is now the son of Gaia again and not Frigga because Odin was bumping uglies with the Greek goddess, or no, actually no, she wasn't even a Greek goddess, she was a Greek titan, Gaia.
Actually, in Marvel, she's what's called an old god.
Oh yeah, she's the
So she's
Green Mother.
Yeah, she's the sibling of Chthon. He decided to become a demon. She decided to become a goddess.
Yeah, it's stupid anyway, and Thor's
Yeah.
mom should just be Frigga because, that's what it is.
Well, they're trying to explain why he's so much more powerful than almost every other Asgardian. He's like more than triple the strength of every other Joe average Asgardian.
Because he drinks a lot of mead and is a shit kicker, that's why. Boy likes to start fights and get drunk and party. Hell yeah, that's why. So, I mean, that's my headcanon, and that's how Thor was in Norse mythology.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh no,
motherfucker
Marvel
was going around having a blast fighting in Norse mythology in the Poetic Edda.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that
Marvel
he should.
retconned that and decided Odin needed a paladinic son. That's why the Marvel Thor is different.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? We've all decided that somewhere around 2005,
Yeah.
Marvel shit the bed and hasn't been the same since.
I think it was what was it? It was like 5 years ago or something. They decided to finally have a fight between Wolverine and Thor, and somehow Thor was surprised how fast Wolverine was. I'm like, no, peak human versus faster than and immortal.
Damien has corrected me. His Thor's mother is Jord, an Earth goddess. Is Frigga the mother? Is Frigga the mother of Baldur? Is that who I'm thinking of?
She's the mother of Tyr. I think Baldur's actually not supposed to be related in the Marvel universe. And
No, and I'm talking about actual Norse mythology.
Oh,
yeah, I
no,
think in
no.
real Norse mythology she is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
She's the mother of Thor, Tyr, and probably like another 4 or 5 that I can't think of right off the top of my head. Yeah.
Okay, just kind of off topic. Did anybody find in
Frigga
the
is
Marvel?
the mother of Baldur, Hodor.
Oh
yeah, there you go.
Okay, I was right. Baldur.
Hemod,
Yeah.
and Thor, of course. So
Also, Jord in the Marvel universe is a alias for Gaia
Okay.
or Jord, however you want to pronounce
I
it.
think it's Jord, in like a Norse Scandinavian like writing. The J usually sounds like a Y.
Yeah, but I do know in the Marvel universe it is one of her aliases.
Okay. And Dominic,
Well,
yeah, I know that's always going to be missing from the lists. The retcon of making
Yeah.
Iceman gay will always be missing from the lists because the moment somebody puts it on the lists, the moment their video becomes demonetized, throttled, and removed.
Yeah,
So
it'll be
yeah,
I'll
that's
just
why
say
it's
that,
not being spoken.
homophobed.
Oh no, I'm not afraid to say it. I'll say it
No.
right now.
Say it.
Turning Iceman gay was fucking gay.
Amen.
Well, I mean, we've talked about this so much. It wasn't that he just turned gay. They had teenage Jean Grey for an alternate universe out him, and it was almost like she chemically changed him in his brain.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of people's headcanon is.
And here's what kills me is you see people now on the Reddit boards and everything saying that Iceman was always coded as gay because he didn't have a significant other. And I'm going to say it for the umpteenth fucking time. Opal fucking Tanaka. Jesus Christ, how many times do we have to say that?
Also,
that was his significant other, just like Hank McCoy's was Trish Tilby.
Also, read X-Men: The Hidden Years, where like he's kind of juggling like 2 or 3 girls, and one of them's Polaris for a minute. So yeah, he's super gay with all the girls.
Just to take a few steps back in relation to the sons of Frigga or Frigg, the thing to keep in mind with the actual mythology was there were a lot of regions that all worshipped the same gods under different names. So there was Frigga, Frigg, and Freya, among others.
Mhm.
and each version was slightly different, and they were all canon. Contradictions didn't matter. They were all canon.
Exactly.
So there you
And
go.
also, Tyr and Thor, in some parts of the mythology, are the same guy.
Yeah,
They apparently Thor had a dog that was also capable of holding his hammer called Tyrrell, which means belongs to Thor.
and here's a fun one for you. Uh, there are versions of the story in which Odin and Loki are brothers,
Mhm.
and there are versions of the story in which they were brothers, and Odin decided to name one of his sons after his brother. So there are two Lokis.
Well, and also in the original the mythology, Thor is a redhead, so big ups
Yeah,
to my people here.
with a huge beard.
Yeah.
And thunder goats.
Yep.
And he also has a giant beer belly. He doesn't have a six-pack. He's got a beer belly.
I
Love
still
it.
think Marvel needs to integrate the cart with the thunder goats.
Hell yes.
Oh, they have it in the comics.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they're called Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder.
Oh, I
The
didn't
name's
know that.
translated. Yeah, he uses them when he has to travel interdimensionally to usually like places he's never been. Like say there's just an open portal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Tooth
I
Gnasher and
stand
Tooth Grinder.
corrected.
And they can run through the air and through space and all sorts of stuff. They're fantastic. They also eat tin cans. I'm just kidding about the tin cans part.
Oh, no, they're goats. They probably do.
They probably do, yeah. But no,
Okay.
I'm a huge Thor fan too. I mean, so
Oh, good. Good. It means you can
Have to.
correct us when we don't know something about that.
All right, we ready for the next one?
Let's bring it.
Okay, the next retcon is Silver Fox, and I think a lot of people will I'll get into it. Okay. So Silver Fox was Wolverine's lover right before he did the what's it called?
Weapon X?
X.
Yeah.
And Sabretooth found Silver Fox, raped her, tortured her, and killed her, and left her for Wolverine to find.
Yeah.
It drove Wolverine insane. When Wolverine did Weapon X, he lost all his memories, and as his memories started coming back, he remembered Silver Fox. Well, they did this weird retcon at Marvel where Silver Fox was actually a member of the Weapon X experiment, and she was actually an agent for Hydra, and none of that stuff happened, and Weapon X had implanted memories of them being lovers, and they never were. And it was a really anticlimactic story. Number one, bringing Silver Fox back was weird as hell. Number two, bringing her back as a Hydra agent was weird as hell. And number three, bringing her back saying that they were never lovers and it was all a implant from Weapon X. Well, a lot of the older X-Men fans were like, no. So I guess recently they re-retconned it back that Silver Fox had been raped, tortured, and killed by Victor Creed and had actually died. And I guess she apparently ends up on Krakoa. I'm okay with them retconning the retcon. That one I'm cool with because it really gave Wolverine a true hatred. The reason why he hated Sabretooth, even to the point that when he had lost his memories, his genetic memory said, no, kill this son of a bitch. He is pure evil.
Well, him showing up every year on your birthday to try and kill you too, like that'll piss anybody off. I've had a loved one ruin a birthday before. I could see how Wolverine would feel.
So yeah, that's actually a retcon I'm okay with because it never should have been retconned that she was always a Hydra agent that was a victim of Weapon X2 and their memories were implanted. That was dumb as hell.
Yeah. Wasn't she hold on, do I remember wrong? Was she the telepath that actually gave him the false memories?
That I cannot remember.
For Weapon X, I could have swore it was like Weapon X's idea, but her power. I could remember it wrong. I don't know.
It might have been. I
When
can't
they
remember
retconned
what
it,
her mutant power was. Didn't they have it in the Origins movie that she could change people's minds or calm them down?
Yeah, she has
Okay,
some
I'm
sort
looking that
of
shit up now.
Yeah, in the movie, she had some sort of weak telepathic influencing power or whatever. She wasn't a
Yeah.
Emma Frost or Prof X or anything, but that's also the movie, and quoting the movie is like quoting the Wikipedia, and that's what stupid people do, and I'm not too stupid.
Well, no,
Oh, here, I
then there
found
was
it.
okay.
Apparently her power was tacto-hypnosis, so she could cause people to be hypnotized and persuade anyone. Like, what?
And
That's
By
from the
touching them?
movie.
yep,
Yeah, no, that makes no sense. I'm looking that.
Isn't that just called a massage?
Okay, actually, no. Her
it depends if you
abilities.
depends if you come at the end.
She also has healing factor. That's why
Of course she
Weapon X
does.
had it.
Of course, everybody has a healing factor. My
So,
mom's
yeah.
got a healing factor. Everybody's got Sasquatch has got a healing factor. Everybody's got a fucking healing factor.
Apparently she didn't have mutant powers, and then when they retconned her, they said that Weapon X had also captured her because she had healing factor as well.
If
So, yeah.
everybody has healing factor, it's no longer interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. That's why I hate it.
I mean, it was cool that Wolverine had it because he was already self-destructive, so he thought he was invincible, and he would make some dumb fucking decisions.
That and his arch enemy being, having a healing factor and being almost invincible too. That's all we needed.
Well-
That's all we needed.
Well, the other thing that made him interesting originally was the way that Claremont was telling him. Wolverine was kind of like this wandering, endless immortal who's doomed to live throughout time, watching everyone he loves and everything he knows dying.
Mhm.
He's never found a true love. There's always either she dies or something comes between them. Every family he knows either goes to shit. Yeah, he's just wandering and can never fucking die. And it was a bit of a burden.
Right.
And how does he deal with it? By becoming incredibly reckless and behaving almost suicidal in ways, abusing his body to the extreme. I mean, how much does he have to drink to get drunk? But he did it.
Yeah, and he only stays drunk for like 10, 15 minutes too.
Unless he keeps pounding him down.
Yeah, well, I remember I think we talked about this one before, where Wolverine has drank so much alcohol. Raltz brought it up in chat one time. I remember this. It was when the Horde showed up and he puked in the planter. And then he was sober.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was in his cowboy duds, and Captain Britain and Megan were visiting.
Yeah, and
so
they
of
were
course-
taken aback.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, of course, you've got upper crust Brits, hanging out, and here comes this Canadian redneck that
Yeah,
pukes in the planter.
Megan's worried, and Captain Britain's just like, it appears he's in his cups.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been great if they had made Hugh Jackman get kind of the Saskatchewan accent for the movies.
That would have been funny.
I bet you he could have done it. He's a hell of an actor.
Yeah, he's done other accents before too.
Right. He does the American accent great.
It would be great for you. You could have had him in the movie look Scott in the eye. I'm going to fight you, eh?
Let's take it to the ice, eh? What you got?
Put you in the boot.
I'll drink you under the table and fuck your mother. How you like that? Oh my god. Anyway. It would have been cool.
Whoa, that was weird.
Hey, it's better than X-Men Pride of the X-Men, where Wolverine's Australian.
Oh my god, I swear that was foreshadowing that they were going to cast Hugh Jackman.
Somebody cast a spell. Make it happen. They made it happen. Oh my gosh. It's still not part of the X-Men.
Oh, kids.
Somebody put a leash on them.
Ugh. All right, moving
Otherwise,
on.
I love that show, but anyway.
Hi, Evolutionary. So we have talked about this one before, but this one has a funny ending. The plan for Wolverine at one point was originally he was an uplifted Wolverine created by the High Evolutionary. And that's That's a very stupid thing. I'm sorry, but they wanted to find a way to bring the High Evolutionary in, since so many characters in the X-Men universe were connected to the High Evolutionary one way or the other.
Mhm.
So they wanted to have him be an uplifted Wolverine. Well, apparently all the writers that were in X-Men or on X-Men at this time all say, no, it wasn't my idea. No, it was somebody else's idea. I had nothing to do with it.
I didn't come up with that.
So nobody really knows who did it,
Yeah.
but it
Nobody will
did
take the credit.
happen. Nobody wants to take the rap for that. So that is a retcon that was supposed to happen that never happened. And I find it amusing because it would have been kind of funny if you found out that Wolverine was literally an uplifted Wolverine. And like, you take off the mask and he looks like Madame Bova, but with a Wolverine head.
Well, yeah, they also wanted him to initially have superhuman strength too. He was supposed to be about as strong as Spider-Man,
Yeah.
which I think he's better as human strength. I mean, like intense, high-level human strength. I don't want to get hit by this MFer because it's going to feel like he's got a roll of pennies in his hand. But you know, it's still better than him being super strong too. You know?
Oh yeah, that one thing that this is why I like the way Claremont wrote Wolverine. He had the healing factor, he had the adamantium. If they
Mhm.
would have added, and the hyper senses, if they would have added any more, he would have been OP. And that's like the shit they started doing when, in the 90s when Jim Lee took over. Like, he started having, more than just regular human strength, whereas before, the reason that he was, the human cannonball, the fastball special,
Mhm.
is because he was heavy. Yeah, people forget that he's 350 pounds because of adamantium, as well as, the bulked up muscle he has. So when they show him crashing through stuff, it has nothing to do with like him being super strong, like, Colossus or Juggernaut punching through a brick wall. No, he's just a human cannonball, literally. So that's why he smashes through walls.
Yeah, they seem to have forgotten a lot of things. And, I'm going to just say again, I've said this before, but look, there's nothing interesting about an overpowered character. We keep hearing over and over again, well, this character is the most powerful. And they especially do that with female characters. Have you noticed that?
Mhm.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
so-and-so is the most power. That's not interesting. I don't care.
Yeah.
So
Like
what? That's not an interesting character. Power doesn't make someone interesting.
like last week when we were discussing Wonder Man and Rogue's, interaction.
Yeah.
And how they determined back in the 80s that she could not absorb his powers, but somebody in the chat said that, oh well, this is an upgrade because now his form has changed. No, his form changed in the 70s when she couldn't absorb his power. Nothing changed since then to make it so she could absorb his power. Just the writers can't fucking read apparently and never did. So no,
Um,
Superman is interesting. You're right, Draco, but that's different because he's special.
I was
Okay.
gonna say Superman is more interesting for the fact that he
Yeah,
has a good moral compass
yeah.
and is more human than humanity itself and would sacrifice everything. He
Mhm,
doesn't use his powers to be a god. He would rather just be a human, a
mhm.
husband, and a dad. That's what
Well,
makes him
yeah.
interesting.
What makes Superman interesting is his moral struggle.
Yeah.
Now, how many times have we seen, well, what if Superman was evil? And everyone thinks that's revolutionary. No, it isn't.
So
What's
boring.
what's interesting is that Superman isn't like that. That
Right.
he doesn't have to answer to anyone. No one can stop him. No one can call him on his bullshit. He could do whatever the hell he wants. And yet he has this cast iron set of rules that he has to follow to make sure that he never gets out of line, but also that humanity trusts him. So why doesn't Superman just kill this guy?
Take
Because
over the
then no
world.
one would ever trust him ever again.
Stop all crime and stop all natural disasters and stop wars and da da da. Because
Yep.
humanity has to learn to make its own mistakes too.
Well,
Yeah.
that and like back in the 80s. Well, why doesn't he just destroy Russia? It was, well, because now he's terrifying.
Right.
Who's next?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's why the injustice storyline doesn't make sense. And I know there's going to
No.
be people that argue with me on that, but
It won't be me.
Superman killing Joker No, he would be too busy mourning his wife and his unborn child, and I think he would break, but I think it would actually be Bruce Wayne. I think it'd be Batman that would kill the Joker instead. Or
Well,
if it's not him, it would have been Oliver Queen. Oliver Queen would have done it in a heartbeat.
There would have been a line around the block of heroes trying to do it for Superman, and Superman probably would have taken up on a desert island and been a hermit for probably like 10 years as he got over
well,
it.
don't you recall in Kingdom Come that is what happened?
I didn't read Kingdom Come.
That's right. The Joker set off the nuke in Metropolis.
No, he gassed. He had his laugh gas flood the Daily Planet offices. Now, before everyone says, "Oh, well, that's Mark Wade. Mark Wade's a dipshit." Yes, actually, yeah, Mark Wade is absolutely a ambulatory mound of sewage. But and in fact, if you go into a really filthy comic book bathroom, turn off the lights, light a candle, and look in the mirror and say Mark Wade 3 times, he will appear in the store and throw a tantrum and tear everything up in a gorilla suit.
Knock all the Funko Pops off the shelf.
Yes.
True
Oh,
story.
and the Smeagol voice.
Yes, but despite that, what saved Kingdom Come was that it was plotted by Alex Ross.
Yes.
And anyway, but in Kingdom Come, the Joker does kill the entire staff of the Daily Planet. So it's not just Lois. It's I forget the name of the editor, but
Perry
also
White
Perry,
and Jimmy,
yeah,
Cat
Jimmy.
Grant, all of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so that was essentially his second family, and they're all dead. And a Rob Liefeld-esque quote unquote hero, because Superman won't kill Joker. Magog, the Liefeld-esque character, does. And suddenly the world likes him better. And Superman just decides to remove himself from humanity and has got a farm, I think, underneath his he's got like a holodeck underneath the Fortress of Solitude, where he's living a farm life and he's just abandoned humanity.
Yeah,
So
no,
that plot has been done.
Yeah, no, that was correct. So this whole Superman would be evil, and then people are going to bring up Red Sun. I'm going to give a little bit of defense for Red Sun. He was raised by Stalin, and he was still a naive Boy Scout. Now, as time goes on, he does corrupt, but then it's Lois Lane giving him the note from Lex Luthor saying, why don't you just put the whole world in the bottle? And that's when Superman realizes he's just as bad as Brainiac and steps away from humanity.
See, these sound like good stories. That's
well, these are good stories. I believe that was what Mark Miller did, that one, Red Sun.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Best interpretation of Green Lantern, Hal Jordan ever. Was that book.
My God, that was amazing.
I'd read an entire series about that Green Lantern.
Oh yeah, just so hell bent on revenge.
And by the way, I know this is a way off topic. I know this is way off topic, right? The whole bit about Hal Jordan of being shot down in Vietnam and having imagined, visualized an entire escape plan. And, you know, he had this perfect memory. Do you remember that?
Yes.
That is based on someone real. He was an engineer. He was in the military. He got put into a camp and he walked the entire, he did with just counting his footsteps, created an entire diagram of the camp in his head so that when he came back, he could give it to command.
That's badass.
Yeah.
There were a couple of guys that did that, because there was the one guy that the Viet Cong thought was mentally retarded because he just kept singing Old MacDonald. But instead, he had memorized every single prisoner in that camp to the tune of Old MacDonald. So when they rescued him, he was able to give the list of every single service member that had been taken by the Viet Cong and put in POW camps.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. All right. So
yeah.
This,
anyway,
this retcon really pissed me off because this was Dan Slott having a temper tantrum. Franklin Richards. So Franklin Richards has always been a mutant. I mean, the Fantastic Four have been very closely tied to the X-Men for decades. I mean, importantly so. Days of Future Past was the first time you saw that Franklin was a mutant, at least that I remember.
No, X-Men versus Fantastic Four.
That's right. No, it's what you find out Franklin and Rachel are married.
Yes, that too.
In Days of Future Past.
Days
And
of Future Past, yep.
so yeah, the
You're right.
Fantastic Four are part of the X-Men, whether Dan Slott likes it or not. No other, I haven't seen any other writer really try to retcon this. Well, when the Krakoa arc happened, the Fantastic Four actually went to war with the X-Men to not give up Franklin Richards. Now you have to remember, not only was Franklin a mutant, the Reed Richards and Sue Richards had adopted Artie Maddox and Leech. So they had 2 adopted sons that were mutants, and they had Franklin Richards. So like I said, heavily tied into the X-Men. Surprised there weren't more crossovers with them. Anyway,
I didn't know they adopted Artie and Leech.
Yeah, they're the legal guardians.
I thought they were still living at Beast's parents' house.
No, they were with Artie and Leech were with Franklin and Valeria for a long time, right up until Krakoa.
I guess if I saw it, I assumed they were play dates or something. I didn't know they got adopted.
No, they even had the little 4.5. You remember when they put on Franklin and Valeria the 4.5 suits? They had those too.
Oh wow.
So yeah, no, they're heavily tied into the X-Men. When the X-Men showed up to take Franklin to Krakoa, Reed Richards hid the fact that he was a mutant from the Krakoa gate, so he couldn't pass through and they couldn't take him. Well, the X-Men thought that was egregious. So they had a huge fight. It actually destroyed Franklin's relationship with his father. What's new? And he went off to Krakoa. Well, Dan Slott didn't like that and retconned it that Franklin wanted to be a mutant so bad, he influenced everybody else with his powers, which his powers is to make other realities, not influence people.
Yeah.
And they unceremoniously and cruelly kicked him out of Krakoa after he had made a new family, made new friends. He was a part of the storyline because Dan Slott is a little bitch.
Yeah, Franklin can't be there, but the Juggernaut can, and Deadpool can. Okay, that makes sense.
So, you know when you play Fallout and it says everyone disliked that? That was the fan base. They recently re-retconned it. Franklin's a mutant again.
And Banshee's alive again after having died 3 times. So, you know.
Yeah, it's also being skinned by his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell Dan Slott's problem is. I mean, the thing is, and it's really a shame, is it's not like the guy is a terrible writer. He can put together a good story. But there is something severely wrong with that man.
Well, the fact that he has temper tantrums. I mean, I'm sure everybody can remember when Ethan Van Sciver interviewed him. And he was bragging about that he had turned the Silver Surfer into a romance storyline. And people are like, nah, man, you ripped off Doctor Who. I believe he ripped off the Eccleston season of Doctor Who and put it in Silver Surfer. So not only did he turn Silver Surfer into a romance storyline, he ripped off Doctor Who. And he was proud of it being a romance book. I'm like, that's why your book's not selling, Mr. Slott, because most people aren't reading Silver Surfer for a romance storyline. They're reading it to see him fight against, extraterrestrials and try and stop Galactus and have these crazy ass adventures across the known universe on his surfboard.
I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to understand. It really is. Just
I understand it's hard to write cosmic stories like Silver Surfer, the Green Lantern, and all that stuff, but because who do you pit them up against? But to downgrade it to a romance story or a soap opera, it's almost like self-insert, except for I doubt he ever had a romantic encounter in his life, besides his hand, which he probably has to get drunk first.
I'm going to correct you on that one. And this is strictly because I've been in the industry. Okay. I will tell you this much. One of the reasons they really liked having Comic-Con in San Diego was the readily available call girls waiting at the hotel where all the writers and editors stayed.
Oh,
And I watched as I waited for a meeting with Mark Smiley of Archaea when we were negotiating Titanium Rain. I watched one by one as various editors and writers that I recognized coming up to the doors. I forget which hotel it was. And at each door, there were 3 call girls waiting, and they would pick one out and go inside, and a girl would come in and replace her in that lineup.
wow.
So he probably had to pay quite a bit for it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I guess he's cheating on his hand. But like, is it cheating when you pay for it? I don't know. Maybe I might not be the best judge for that. I
think the funniest one was I saw 3 DC editors, will not name them, and they came up, and one of the editors was female, and she grabbed a woman too when they all picked call girls to go upstairs with. It's like, I did not expect that.
Alrighty then. Maybe they're gonna braid each other's hair and talk about boys and pop popcorn and stay up too late watching movies.
Yeah, they're probably braiding each other's pubic hair.
Or not. Was it Tuesday? Because it could have been Taco Tuesday.
Okay, anyway.
All right, so this retcon that is coming up next, let me see if, okay, this is the other egregious one that I remember all of us, and actually including Kat, were so friggin' mad that we couldn't talk correctly. Turning Moira MacTaggert into a mutant. And here we go. All right. This was dumb as fuck, because does anybody remember the Legacy virus story? And do you remember the huge impact it had when she was the one that was researching it, and it had mutated to the point that it could jump to humans, and she was the first infected human?
Yeah.
She gave blood and tissue samples to everyone. This includes bad guys, to try and find a cure, because now the Legacy virus could infect humans. This shits all over her sacrifice, and also shows that the brightest scientists in the Marvel universe are fucking renobs. Because you would think, studying that blood, you would see, oh shit, she's got the X factor. She's a mutant.
Yeah, not she's just carrying in her children will have it. She's got it.
Yeah,
so somebody would notice that.
Yeah, so not only that, but that takes away from her sacrifice when she died, because she was dying and she still researched it to the end, because she was trying to save the world at that point. Well, this whole stupid thing where they retconned her as a mutant, she had 10 lives, and every time she died, she remembered everything from her past lives to try and fix the world. This includes at one point becoming a terrorist with Apocalypse and letting Age of Apocalypse happen. She also joined Magneto. So she actually had no problem massacring millions of people to try and save the world and the mutant race. Turning her into a batshit insane, horrible, self-centered villain who then proceeds to get kicked off Krakoa, cries to her ex-fiance Banshee to come save her, kills him, skins him, and wears his skin back in through the gates so she could sneak through. The retcon of Moira MacTaggert shat all over a wonderful character who was a human ally who did more for mutants than Charles Xavier ever did.
She's like an aunt to the X-Men.
Who did this?
Yes. No, she was the mother to the X-Men, where Charles Xavier was the father. Because remember, he's the one that told her that he wanted to open the school for mutants, and she was behind him. She was not behind him on him turning them into warriors and superheroes. But she did want the school open.
Right.
So who decided this was a good idea?
Hickman.
Oh, Hackman. Okay, yeah, the hack. Okay.
The uncanny Hackman.
Yeah. So Hickman, I was about to call him Hackman. No, Hackman took a wonderfully tragic character who has gone through so much and turned her into an OP mutant who had been lying to her friends and family over 9 lifetimes. She was on her final life
Hold it, 9
in
lives?
the Hickman run. She was
He
now
turned
called Moira X or Moira 10.
So
um
really more
so he turned her into Mengele?
Not
Muir
just Mengele.
Meowrith MacTaggert.
I mean, she was a terrorist. She was a serial killer. She was a mass murderer.
Mm.
Yeah, so that one and that never got retconned, and that never should have happened. And it was all done for shock factor to get people to buy Hickman's new Krakoa run. The moment I found out about it, there was no way in hell. That was one of the first things that made me go, nope, I am out. You do not turn the human ally, who is basically the mother of the X-Men, and that's what made her amazing, was that she was human, into a mutant, and not only that, into an awful person.
Nothing is sacred, everything has to be shit on.
Yeah.
And the bad guys are the interesting ones. Remember that.
Oh, super
People that are
mutant,
good and sacrifice themselves, that's not interesting.
super mutant 2099. Apparently, she had learned to block Charles from reading that part of her mind, finding out that she was a mutant.
Oh, hold
So
on. I looked it up on Dukipedia.com, and that the reason for that is because. That's all that's listed. Just as because. Oh no, see also why not? So you can hit
yeah,
that link.
it was all done for shock factor. It was all done for being an edgelord. I couldn't believe how many people were like, I love this. This is the best thing that's ever happened to the character Moira. I'm like, no. Did you not read the Proteus storylines? Did you not read the Muir Island saga? Did you not read what happened during Executioner's Song and the fallout from that?
Or the end of the Morlock Massacre?
Yeah. Or Excalibur.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. She was apparently boring.
She was boring.
Yeah. So yes, Buddy Smith. She was also. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
Ad nauseum. X-Men, Marvel in general is just one big fan. It's fanfiction.net. That Marvel should change their name from Marvel Comics to fanfiction.net.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that I don't know how, if they ever try to retcon that or fix that, how they're going to do it. The only thing I can think of is they're going to say she was actually, an imposter from Earth 8943 and not the real Moira.
They're not going to fix it. Next year, she's going to be a lesbian who's in a relationship with Polaris. Okay, they're not fixing.
Don't
There's no
curse
fixing
it.
this.
Don't curse it, please. Don't curse it and make it worse.
I'm sorry. All I did was stir the porta potty. Okay, I didn't shit in it. It was already shitty. Just stirred it.
Okay, this is totally random and not related, but when you said stir the porta potty, it immediately reminded me of Fallout 76, where you can go to this one area of the map and there's a line of porta potties, and you open one of them up and a corn stalk is growing out of it, meaning that somebody shit corn and then a corn stalk grew.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, that's what that image brought. So yeah, thoughts, rants about the whole assassination of Moira and her character?
It makes me ill. I really liked Moira when I was reading the comics. One of the things that made her fascinating was that she was kind of this driven lone scientist living on an island, doing everything she can to help the mutants with what's going on. She had a better knowledge of foreseeing events than Professor X did, because Professor X was so focused on his mission and his ethos and being Professor X that she was usually the one that would have to come up and say, a reality check, Charles. She was the first one to realize Phoenix was a danger. So,
Yeah.
and just the fact that in a lot of ways, she really reflected, how would I put it? A lot of the action heroines of the 80s. She was capable, and it wasn't that she was a chick or a mother, you know?
Yeah.
She was doing it because she wanted to. Making her a monster, just lazy.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. Yeah, it was total character assassination, and it was awful. And it also takes away the fact that she was Charles Xavier's Jiminy Cricket.
Right.
Like you said,
Yeah.
she was the one that gave him the reality check, or like, hey man, you're getting way too big for your britches. You're getting arrogant. You're getting dangerous. You're putting other people in danger for your supposed moral superiority. Yeah, so
It also proves that, they actually never read an X-Men comic before. They were just handed a list of names and powers, and they're like, oh, we should make her a mutant. She could be the most powerful of all of them.
I think the writer that started that trend with X-Men was Grant Morrison.
Don't even get me started on that tard.
Yeah, I know. We've had plenty of episodes where we just
Mhm.
foam at the mouth with reason.
Exactly. Look what he did to my beast. Turned him into
Yeah,
a
well,
fucking sleepless cat. That's
yeah,
a shit in
he
a box.
No, I'm reading quotes from Hickman trying to explain his choices, and I came across something a little surprising. So that's all. That's why I kind of went quiet.
no
Uh,
say it.
Okay, well, who is the interviewing? Sorry, it's first off, keep in mind this is Rich Johnston, so keep in mind who that's coming from.
Oh, so
But he
he's
was,
licking his balls because they're covered in peanut butter.
but he's talking to Brett Schickner of Graphic Policy, which yeah.
Okie dokie.
Who was a site dedicated to shoving politics into comics where there weren't any. I remember I kind of made him uncomfortable because he interviewed me for Titanium Rain, and I thoroughly went off on Al Gore, and I quoted Al Gore's book about climate change. It said, this guy's talking more like a prophet than a politician or a scientist. What he's saying here, and it was obvious he was kind of uncomfortable with that. But anyway, okay, here's what Schechner says about Krakoa, okay? Hickman
Okay.
posits a future where the X-Men not as allegorical representations of a struggling minority. Instead, Hickman's X-Men have taken the role of nationalists, specifically white nationalists, raging against the inevitable loss to demographics and the future. While I'm excited to see where this all goes, at the same time, it feels like the heart of the X-Men has been ripped out of them. Thank you. At least I agree with that.
Yes.
And then anyway, I chatted with Brett about this online in his comments, and I asked if he was suited, if it was better to suit the analogy to Zionism rather than white nationalism.
Whoa.
And Brett's answer was, good question. It has aspects of both, but when you look at the quasi-religious aspect of Krakoa X-Men, but you go beyond the establishment of a homeland, no non-mutants are allowed to live there or in any community there, but that's beyond Zionism. Are you sure?
Juggernaut. Deadpool.
Wait, I
Both
They're
thought
also
that they both got resurrected as actual mutants, like what Mr. Sinister did.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't know, but how does Juggernaut get resurrected as a mutant since his powers are magic?
Remember,
a
they
demon?
had resurrection protocols, and they could do fucky wucky things with the genetics, I think, or
But
maybe that was just Mr. Sinister did that to himself. I
but
don't know.
who could kill Juggernaut? Did he sacrifice? He suicide himself so he could come back as a mutant? I don't. I'm asking legitimately. I have no idea. They
I don't
obviously don't
know.
know. They don't know.
anyway. I just thought it was interesting that Johnston actually had the balls to ask that.
That's a
That's
good
just-
question.
They're acting more like Zionists.
Yeah, they
Damn,
are.
dude, that was ballsy to say.
Yeah.
That was really ballsy to say.
You know,
It was obvious
Genosha,
it made Brett really uncomfortable.
the humans
Well,
of
yeah.
Genosha should get their power back, take over the nation, and go to war with Krakoa. That would be great.
Well,
And
it kind of
I would want
showed
them
they
to
were
win.
right.
I'd want them to win too.
Like I've said before, if Jonathan Hickman had actually, also had the balls and gone through with it and made the X-Men the villains, that actually would have been epic. I would have been okay with that because it's like, no, you guys became every single friggin' thing you hated. Look what you have become. That actually would have been kind of cool. That and wanting to save themselves instead, they turned into horrible people. And then for them to all realize, oh my God, we're the reason Days of Future Past happened. It wasn't some traitor or anything else. We did it. We are now fucked. We're the ones that caused everything. And now every other mutant generation is going to pay the price. And they all have to disband and run and flee.
Oh, this is actually quite fascinating. This took me down a rabbit hole.
Those are the heroes now.
No. I'm finding numerous sites here where you've got various Jewish people saying that Hickman's got a Jewish cabal narrative running through a lot of his comics
Oh wow.
Oh God.
and citing things.
Oh my. Maybe that's why he was yanked off the X-Men book. He just unceremoniously left.
Well, apparently he had another book out called the Black Monday Murders. This was one of his indie books about a group of bankers called the Kingnia Investment Bank, who are devil worshippers. They control the world's banks and control the world through the banks. And they're a secret society of banking cartels who do ritualistic blood sacrifice and murder and have staged a thorough stock collapse. And they're trying to cover it up. And that they even have a black pope.
Wow.
I'm waiting to hear the controversy.
Damien247 said, so Hickman said the quiet part out loud.
Yes, he did. Yeah. Apparently that's a recurring theme in his books, is saying the quiet part out loud.
Oh,
and it
then
makes people uncomfortable. My only, my complaint is...
They yanked him.
Go ahead.
My complaint then? Why did you smear that all over the fucking X-Men? Seriously.
That is kind of weird.
I'm still waiting to hear the conspiracy.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
It's like those girls who tried to throw ketchup on the fucking what's it called, those paintings in the Louvre. I can't remember the name of the one that they specifically tried to. He's spreading shit he spread shit all over the X-Men. I'm not sure if a protective cover was in place before it happened, though.
No, there was no protective cover.
Yeah,
They were an easy target.
There goes our art.
Yeah, I like that at least in Eastern Europe now they have guards with machine guns standing in front of the paintings ready to gun down anyone who tries it.
That's dope.
I think that's an appropriate response.
Yeah.
Did you see that they got that in the UK? Two of those morons tried to get to the Magna Carta and smash it open and tear it up, and instead couldn't get in, so they glued themselves to its case.
Well, that should say everything you need to know about these people.
Yeah,
and what
it
they're
was
about.
a female pastor and a retired teacher, both geriatric. Yeah.
My
Like,
rule is if you glue yourself to it, everybody gets to hit you once, and whoever gets the candy to come out gets to keep the candy. That's
yeah.
fucking dumb shit.
Like, this is my thing. I would love to see these Stop Oil people try that shit here in the US, because even if they do get to it, because, our whatever is going on
Yeah.
in DC, it's the rest, or like, at least 50% of the United States that's now going to personally hunt you down.
Yeah.
And guns are legal here, so hey.
All right. So what else do we got here?
Okay, hold on. Let me get back to the page. Okay, this one Kronk and I have bitched about before because it's absolutely stupid. Wolverine's Lupine era, when they decided that he was the descendant of werewolves and he went feral. And he had no nose.
Yeah, it's because
And he wore like this weird like wraparound mask that it's like they tried to make him look like Iron Fist, but like if Iron Fist was a werewolf.
and didn't wear shoes.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he had gnarly clawed feet, and he was super hairy, and he had clawed hands, and he could barely speak like a human anymore.
Yeah.
And people didn't like that, including myself. And at the time
Yeah.
frame, I still wasn't a big Wolverine fan, but I was like, this is way out of left field. And the whole way they did it was apparently the god or super being Romulus was like, yeah, you're the descendant of the Lupine, who are like werewolf people.
Oh yeah,
And
that was his name. Yes. The head of the Canis lupus or Homo Canis lupus or whatever.
yeah, he was Homo Canis lupus. And then people obviously didn't like that. So then Romulus's twin sister Remus showed up and was like, haha, no, he was just pranking you, bro.
Wait.
I didn't
Remus
read
is now female?
Yeah, apparently Remus is a female.
I didn't read that part. Thank you. He saved me so much brain cells.
Oh, well, I didn't
owe
read
you.
it. I didn't read that either. I got that from the 10 worst. I would never read that tripe.
Still, you saved me from like having to witness that, read it, whatever. Thank you.
Yeah.
My 4.5 brain cells that are left. Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, they tried to do a whole animal thing again with Wolverine, and it doesn't work, man. Just let the man be, he's kind of, feral looking. He grows a lot of hair. I think it is part of his mutant makeup. He's got the heightened senses and a healing factor. Let it stay there, and let him have the bone claws that are covered in adamantium. That's all you need.
Yeah. Well, now
Yeah.
he's also the grand descendant of Thor, also like greatest of great grandsons of Thor.
What?
They didn't need to do that.
No.
They didn't need to do that.
Why are they making Marvel so incestuous now? It's gross. Everybody's been banging everybody else, and everybody's now related to everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no. We're gonna move on because that was just dumb. We're gonna move on to one that I don't think is really controversial, and I think it was just brought up because it was a blip on the radar, and it was a little jarring for people. But they had retconned at one point. They had retconned Magneto from being a Jew to a Romani. It didn't last long. It was
That's
kind of
retarded.
weird, but I think they were also trying to explain why Magneto had married a Romani woman and had children with her, which was Magda.
Yeah, but
And
that was also his second wife, let's be fair, too.
yeah, no, I believe he had a first wife, and he didn't, if I'm remembering correctly, and Kronk, you can correct me, when he was put in the camps, he was married and already had a daughter, and his daughter and his wife were killed.
Yeah. I
And
think I think his daughter was actually a mutant too, even though her powers hadn't come out yet. And that was one of the things that stirred up the crowd to kill his wife and child.
yeah,
And
and
he
I
was
think,
forced to watch because he didn't kill everybody for it immediately.
yeah, and they actually used that in X-Men Age of Apocalypse, the movie,
Yeah.
that he was married and his daughter got killed. by police because they wanted him to leave because he was a mutant. So and then he marries it's Magda, right? Yeah, Magda,
Yeah,
and
Magda.
has Wanda and Pietro.
Yeah.
And so they retcon that, and then it seemed like the writers were like, no, this just really doesn't work, and they retconned him back to being Jewish. So it was a blip on the radar.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not like it didn't work, but this was one where it was like somebody didn't do their homework and wrote him as Romani, and then an editor came in and said, how did this slip through the cracks? He was Jewish, and they moved it back.
Yeah, it kind of takes the teeth out of the original story.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it was the Atlantis attacks, the summer annual thing that they had going there. There's a backstory in the end of it, and that explained a lot of Magneto's story because Doctor Doom and Magneto shared each other's backstories with each other because Doom was trying to get Magneto to like join him, and so they showed each other's backstories to each other through this mutant telepath that Doom was kind of controlling through cybernetics. So they could actually see each other's backstory, and it was very illuminating for both of them. But in the end, they both realized that the other one kind of made them sick, and they went their own ways. You know,
Yeah.
if you guys get a chance, that's a really good way to read up on the details of Magneto's backstory.
His backstory is so tragic because he
Mhm.
became everything he hated.
Right.
But he's never sees it that way. He never will see it that way, and that's why he is so tragic. He wants the same thing that was done to him, done to
Hmm.
the rest of humanity, and it's just like, yeah, you can't do that, man.
Well, Claremont tamed him a lot when Claremont took over the X books because Magneto, like back in the day, was like he would team up with anybody to get at the X-Men, and he was like really trying to kill them, not like Saturday morning cartoon. I'll get you next time, X people. No, he was out to murder. Like to one point, he teamed up with Namor and the Atlanteans against not only the X-Men but the Surface. And then when Namor left to attack, I think he was fighting the X-Men at the time. Magneto tried to take over Atlantis. I mean, he was an asshole.
Yeah, no, he's never been a good guy, but I liked what Claremont did with him.
Oh, I
It
do
was a
too.
redemption arc,
Yeah.
but he was never gonna, wipe the stain of genocide or attempted genocide and mass murder off. The black
Yeah.
mark was already there, so to speak. But this is the other thing that I liked. Claremont was properly aging Magneto and Charles
Mhm.
Xavier. They were
Right.
in their 60s.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they were in the only reason Charles looked younger was because they had cloned him a new body to help him walk again after the Dark Phoenix saga, but he had his own mental block, and that's
Hmm.
why he was in a younger body. But Magneto hadn't been, I don't know what some stupid ass storyline that literally it went in one ear and out the other, where Moira
Oh,
MacTaggert turned him into a baby or some shit.
oh yeah. They were trying to brainwash him, and part of it was they de-aged him, and then they kind of grew him back up, and he was much more gentle and everything. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
silly.
and that's how they were able to de-age Magneto back into
Yeah.
his like 20s or 30s. It was like, but I was like, shouldn't his hair be blonde instead of, gray?
No, I think
Apparently, no, he's
that's his mutation, kind of like Cable. Well, no, Cable's new mutation. His old one, he had his brown hair with a white stripe, but
yeah.
you know what I mean.
No,
Like
yeah, I think
Storm's
that's
hair is
what they did.
white. You know, like Storm's hair is white. So
Yeah, but
Professor's
I don't
X is
think they
bald.
should have had his hair be white. I think because he had white hair because he was old and also had gone through a whole hell of a lot of trauma.
Yeah, that'll do it. But I don't remember if in that story that I described the backstory of that one comic that I described if he had white hair or if it was blonde. If it was blonde, then what you're saying 100% makes sense. I always figured it was part of his mutation, just like Quicksilver's.
Yeah, maybe his hair always was white.
Or
Oh, you know what?
Polaris is
No,
always green.
I'm getting him mixed up. Charles Xavier was blonde when he lost all
Yeah.
his hair. There we go.
Yep. Yep. He was a little
So,
blondie.
yes. And I do find it amusing that he had early male pattern baldness from his mutant power, and Patrick Stewart lost all his hair by the time he was 19.
Did he really?
Yes.
That's funny. Art imitating life.
Yeah.
I have the first issue where the X-Men, the first 5 X-Men, fight the Juggernaut. And it's basically Xavier running for his life with Jean most of the comic book, while the other 4 boys try to stop the Juggernaut. And in the end, Professor X has to summon the Human Torch to help them. And the Human Torch, because I guess Dazzler didn't exist back then, Human Torch had to sort of dazzle the Juggernaut, and that's when they ripped off his helmet. And that was the first time that Juggernaut lost to Xavier, basically, but it was also like his introduction to the Marvel Universe. But they showed in it a very young Charles Xavier, and he's got like a little, almost like a little toupee of blonde hair on his head. And he's a teenager, and his powers are just starting, and he's like a little freaked out, but he's so self-disciplined. He's like keeping it on the inside, like he's getting the answers for tests or answers for questions teachers are about to ask before they ask them.
I remember that, because you can tell, like, he had the toupee on, but they drew it in such a way you could tell he was bald already.
Yeah.
He had a big ass forehead.
And the whole conflict, between the two, like Xavier didn't realize how bad Marco had it and everything. And yeah, it was a good book.
I remember that. That was funny. The little toupee. I know
Yep.
exactly what you're talking about. So yeah, that was one of the Magneto retcons, but it was a blip on the radar. I don't actually think it was like one of the worst. I think it was them, like I said, somebody trying to make sense of his backstory without doing enough research, and then an editor came in and said, "Nope, we're switching this back," and things went back to the way they were. The final retcon. The final retcon is no more mutants, and not just no more mutants. This is like a double whammy. Also retconning Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver to no longer be Magneto's kids. And one reason they did that is because Joss Whedon wanted them for the Avengers movie. And that's when they were like, well, since we don't have the rights to X-Men, let's just shit on X-Men and break them apart, kill off all their characters or put them on other teams. And so they retconned that the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were not mutants at all. They weren't even his children. Instead, they got their powers from magic or something stupid like that. That obviously for comic book fans went over like a lead balloon.
Yes.
Because when the Avengers movie was coming out, the X-Men movie was still coming out, and Quicksilver's in that movie too. So he's still a mutant. And even in the X-Men movies, Quicksilver tells Mystique that his father is Magneto, which she's like, holy shit, what?
When are you going to tell him? When are you going to talk to him about it?
Yeah, and there's a deleted scene from I think it's X-Men Days of Future Past, where Pietro asks his mom where Wanda is. So Wanda existed as a mutant too, but it was a deleted scene. And so I hated when they did this in the comics, because you could tell this wasn't coming down from editorial. This was coming down from Disney and probably Kevin Feige, which was destroy the X-Men, tear them apart or kill them off. They decided to replace the X-Men with the Inhumans.
The least popular group in all of Marvel. I mean, seriously, the fucking Midwest Avengers are more popular than the fucking godforsaken fucking Inhumans.
The Inhumans were only cool when they showed up in the Fantastic Four or in the X-Men, because those teams made them look cool. Underworld Dream, Hickman rewrote it that Wanda wants Magneto to be her dad, and she says even though he's not biologically her father, he will always be her dad. Yeah, I love that. That's another stupid retcon that, oh, I accept you, Dad, even though, you were terribly abusive to
Yeah,
Pietro and I,
yeah.
and you knew that we were your children while we were part of the Brotherhood after you recruited us, but never told us. And then when we joined the Avengers, you told us and then tried to kill us on several occasions. And you even tried to kill your granddaughter because she wasn't a mutant. Luna.
I would like very much if the reason why, like, they could use this. Go ahead, Marvel, steal this idea. Go ahead and use this. That Scarlet Witch is willing to forgive him and all the rest of it because maybe he saved her from getting raped by the Blob. If that was it, I would be down with it. Okay, that would go a long ways. You know what I mean? That would go a long way to seeing any good in this MFer.
Yeah. No.
She's like, "Daddy saved me at the last minute. I don't care if we're related or not."
William Sova, you do not sound heretical. I actually liked the fact that some of the X-Men would actually graduate to go on to being on the Avengers.
Yeah.
That I actually thought that was a really good idea. I like the fact that Beast was put on the Avengers. I like that later on, Cannonball and Sunspot actually graduated and went to the Avengers.
See, I didn't like that, but I could see it. At least that made sense. Like,
Yeah.
I think you have to be like a special caliber, not just quality, but a special caliber to be on the Avengers. And I think that they had graduated to that caliber. I just didn't want to see him there. I wanted to see him be X-Men.
Well, I think the reason I thought it was okay is
Hmm.
because at the time frame, the X-Men was still like a relative. It was for younger kids.
Yeah.
Where, like I thought Hank being on the Avengers was actually a pretty cool idea because the X-Men at the time frame were still young and he was the oldest and had matured and moved on. And when I say matured, he still had his fun sense of humor and was
Yeah.
playful, but he
But
was also, in his late 20s, early 30s.
and they weren't inviting him before the blue fur and the strength increase or the super speed increase. It
Yeah.
wasn't until he was capable of being, almost a Captain America level threat to the bad guys before let him join, or however you want to say it. It wasn't when he was, bald skinned Hank McCoy. It was, much more powerful beast. Just like Wolverine could be the same kind of caliber to join the X-Men, but I don't see him joining. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a certain power level, certain capability level to join. Yes, I see that in Sunspot and Cannonball very much, but they're always meant to be X-Men.
Another good example would be the New Warriors before they completely ruined them because of Civil War.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Originally, you had Firestar
Yeah,
was a member of the New Warriors.
they made her so relevant.
Yeah. And then this was really stupid though. They rewrote the New Warriors after House of M.
Yeah,
The New Warriors became the team for all the young X-Men who lost their powers, which I was like, that's stupid. But
yeah,
I could have seen a couple of the New Mutants going on to the New Warriors because, the New Warriors were filled with teenagers and young adults,
right.
so
And
you
they
could
were
have had them there.
mutants. They're normal humans or normal humans with powers. It was everybody.
Or they could have revamped the champions or the defenders and had some of the X-Men. For crying out loud, there was a team called the Champions that was Angel, Iceman, and the Beast that were their own team for a while.
Oh no, Beast wasn't on that.
Oh, he wasn't on the Champions? I thought
No,
he
he was in
was.
he was in the
In the
Defenders with
Avengers.
them. Yeah, he was in Defenders with them. And there's actually a comic book, I forget what number it was, but there was an Avengers comic book where Iceman and Angel apply to join the Avengers, and they're both deemed not quite making the cut. That's why I say Beast is a different like caliber, a step higher than those guys. It's not just
Yeah.
anybody with powers.
Well, I mean, Bobby was the youngest, so he
Yeah.
definitely wasn't mature enough for the Avengers, and Warren's ego gets in his way too much, at least back then.
Yeah. Well, it
So
was determined. They were both graduates by then. Both of them had been out of the X-Men for years, but they also were like they hadn't been amped up at all, so they weren't like they're much more powerful nowadays. And so I could
Yeah.
see why they kind of are like, well, thanks for applying. We'll keep your application on file. And if there's any openings and the rest of the Avengers all die, we'll be sure to give you a call.
Uh, when they started disbanding the X-Men, and William Sova also pointed this out. It was the CEO, I think it was Ron Perlmutter was his name, that was
Yeah.
not only a cheapskate,
Yeah.
but was like, write the X-Men and the Fantastic Four out of comics, which, like, you're
Oh, wow.
stupid. That's two of them out of the three most popular teams in Marvel, and you're going to write them out. It was either kill them off with the Terrigen mist cloud that caused, mutant cancer, some stupid shit.
Wasn't
Send
that
them to
stupid?
limbo.
Oh my gosh. And the limbo was not any better.
Yeah, no, they were going to imprison them in limbo permanently. Some of the X-Men did the Uncanny Avengers team. I think that was Wolverine, Havoc, and Rogue.
Yeah, the Unity Squad or whatever that garbage
Yeah, it
was.
was the Unity Squad, and it was 6 members, and it was for the X-Men, Wolverine, Rogue, and Havoc.
Yeah.
And then I think for the Avengers side, it was Scarlet Witch and Captain America, and one other person who I guess wasn't relevant that I don't remember.
I can't remember who it was either. They didn't add a lot to it though.
Yeah,
But
because
from
that's
day
the
one,
one.
Captain America's like, "Oh no, Rogue, I trust you," even though you like almost killed one of my best friends in the whole fucking world.
Well, not only that, don't forget, Rogue absorbed his powers when they first met too. She absorbed Thor and she absorbed Cap.
Yeah.
But
She was on a rampage.
they put Rogue on the team to keep an eye on the Scarlet Witch
On the
because
team
she
full of
hated the
people,
Scarlet Witch.
on a team full of people that hate her. That's a good idea. Good thinking.
Oh, yeah. And I believe this was the time frame Rogue was still knocking boots with Magneto before she dumped him for Deadpool.
Why not put the guy that was on the Avengers, like the Beast, maybe back with them? But no, let's put Rogue. That's a good idea.
Yeah, the whole, I totally trust you, Rogue. Yeah, no. No, they would take one look at her and go, no, she drained our vital energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Especially not only that, I think Carol Danvers was still Ms. Marvel and was on the Avengers. What an insult to that.
Right?
People. Yeah, I actually do feel sorry for not Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
Ms. Marvel, Warbird, Binary, Carol Danvers.
Not the blank plank of wood we have now.
Captain Marvel is Carl Manvers, not Carol.
Yeah,
that is true. Yes, Carl
character
Manvers.
from almost every. Your boy Zach brought up this theory, like he was talking about Carol way back in the day, and he's like, if she was transitioning because she got her powers from a man, that'd be one thing. I was like, oh, that's actually would be kind of an interesting story. Maybe she flips back and forth, like she uses her powers, she turns into a dude. She goes back into not using her powers, kind of like the whole Captain Marvel and Rick
Jones.
Rick Jones thing, except for she's both people. That would have been hella more interesting.
No, it would be more like the Brown Bomber. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't know that one.
No.
Oh, this is a great story. The Brown Bomber was going to be the very first highlighted Marvel superhero. Or wait, no, it was a DC. It was a DC hero. And I think they went with Black Vulcan instead. I forget what the exact story was, but the Brown Bomber was originally going to be a really racist white guy who his power, whenever he used his power, he turned into a black guy.
Oh my God.
And at the last minute, somebody said, this is a really bad idea.
I'm glad they did. I'm really glad they did. Oh my God. Take notes, Marvel. Don't do this.
Actually, you know what? Your boy Zach was onto something. If they would have done that, it would have fit in well because Carol got her powers imprinted from actual Marvel, who was having to flip with Rick Jones. So what if that also screwed with her?
Yeah, because I mean, the power came from his genes. So what if his genes transferred over and she started being like the first, Marvel transsexual, except for it's like fully legit in every way. You know what I mean? Like not a surgery or whatnot.
Yeah, she's still Carol Danvers. She doesn't turn into Marvel, but she becomes a male version of Carol Danvers that goes by Carl.
Yeah, and let's face it, she looks plenty manly now.
Oh God,
Wolf-
I just remember looking.
Wolverine's tits are bigger. Okay.
I can remember seeing the old cheesecake drawings of her with
Mhm.
those thick, muscular thighs, and then
Mhm.
I saw her. What they were turning her into a man. She no longer had breasts. She had
Yeah.
pectorials. I remember she had junk
She had a big nose
instead
like
of
a
a
dude.
vagina.
Yeah, she had a
Yeah,
big nose like a dude.
Kelly Sue DeConnick really has some serious Freudian issues.
yeah.
Just
Well,
saying.
she's very hardcore into prison movies. Apparently, she has a deep love for women in prison movies.
Ah, okay.
I think she fantasizes about being the daddy
He
in the
thinks thy
prison.
kink is showing.
Yeah.
Oofta. I mean, whatever. Okay.
And so that is it for the second list of 10 worst retcons in X-Men.
And everybody was able to
So,
exhale and peace returned to everyone's mind.
so it's not just 10 retcons. This is 20 retcons, people. 20. That's bad.
Not including the Bobby is gay story, not including Sabretooth as Wolverine's dad story, not including the
Yeah,
oh,
no,
yeah.
the ones that I'm surprised they never did the Sabretooth as Wolverine's dad on the list. But like I
It
said,
should have been.
oh yeah. Well, that was Claremont's plan the whole time, was that
Yeah.
Wolverine's dad was tormenting him. So, but yeah, we're never going to see that on a list of retcons about Bobby. That was
Yeah.
done horribly.
Yeah.
Bendis should be flogged for that.
In my opinion, that came out partly because some research group, I can't remember which one, said 1 in 4 men are secretly gay or thinking about it. And that math doesn't actually hold up
No.
because they did that to the original 4 X-Men boys, but they also did it to Captain America's second quirky quartet, where it was Cap, can't make him gay. Falcon, can't make the black man gay. Nomad, who knows who the fuck he even is, so he can't be gay. So let's do it to my boy, the Demolition Man, Dennis Dunphy. Okay? Guy's got a cool first name. Redhead, he's got to be the gay. I mean, like, if he was gay, that would be fine. But he actively tried to steal Nomad's girl from him. Doesn't sound like a gay man to me.
Well, what they've done instead is they've just made all the X-Men gay. They've always been queer coded, as the terminology goes, and so they're all LGBTQ.
Of course they are.
That's what they did. So now in the entire Marvel universe, you have one entire superhero team, not just a superhero team, an entire
Race.
species, an entire
Yes.
race
Or
that
race, species, breed,
is
whatever you want
not
to call them.
straight.
Yeah.
None of them are straight.
You know, the whole Rainbow Brigade is incapable of seeing anything that isn't gay. I mean, to them, a cigar isn't just a cigar.
Yeah.
No, it's a
It's
tobacco
coded as
filled
gay.
dildo.
Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, though, guys.
Sometimes 2 guys just are friends, okay?
If they made a character like North Star that was gay, that would be no problem. But turning Havoc gay or bi or queer coded or whatever the hell they want to call it now makes no sense. It's not that I'm taking it personally; it just makes no sense. You know?
What kills me is Claremont was smart. He had gay people on teams around the entire Marvel universe. North Star was obviously gay from the jump, or at least the jump when Claremont got a hold of him.
Yeah,
as we've talked about,
maybe not when Beard made him, but yeah, when Claremont got a hold of him, yes.
But, we've talked about Mystique and Destiny. It was obvious without saying it, and I mean obvious. And he also had plans to have Kitty and Rachel together as a
Yeah.
couple. And like if you go back and you read Excalibur, you see it. It was slow building.
I didn't see it, but I've already mentioned I was naive back then, but I believe you guys. It's just, it wouldn't have bothered me if it did happen. You know? Like if they did get together.
Yeah, like I
Who
don't
cares?
think they were necessarily going to be full-blown lesbians. Kitty was definitely going to be bi, and so is Rachel, because Rachel was with Franklin originally,
Yeah.
and Kitty had a crush on Colossus, and she also had a crush on Alistair Stewart. So I mean, yeah, Kitty likes guys too, but it wouldn't have been. I don't think anybody would have shit their pants in horror if
And
they
Pete
both ended
Wisdom.
up bi and together.
Yeah, she was into Pete Wisdom too.
Yeah.
And I guess in
Well,
recent years she dated Spider-Man too. So I guess she's got a
she
Peter fetish.
that was a running gag in
Uh,
X-Men that
oh yeah,
she
just
had a thing for Peter because she also was with Peter Quill and
yeah,
almost
I was just
married
gonna
him.
say that. Of course she
And
was.
then they thought it was funny. This is before they turned Bobby gay. They were trying to go from the X-Men movies, and they actually put Kitty and Bobby together. They were together for a while. But then I guess Bobby came out and said he, just like was using her as a beard or something. I don't know.
That's not disrespectful at all. And plus he's like what, 12 years older than her?
Yeah, Kitty
But
likes,
I
but
don't know.
that was something that they did in Excalibur, which I thought made sense. They showed that Kitty likes them old when it comes to guys, because
Uh,
Pete Wisdom was like at least 15 years older than her when they got together.
oh, was
She
he
was into
too? Oh, okay.
Colossus.
Yeah.
Hold on for just a second. I am being
Okay.
summoned. I will be right back.
I don't think that's acceptable. I think whoever is summoning her just needs to piss off.
No, my son Chris is looking for Steve.
Oh,
So yeah, Kitty likes the men old. Pete Wisdom is older than her. Or not Pete, yeah, Pete Wisdom is older than her. Piotr is older than her. The only one that was the same age was Peter Parker. But I believe Peter Quill is also older than her, because Peter Quill in the comics is like in his 40s, where in the movies they started out having him in his 20s.
I thought Spidey was closer to like Cyclops' age.
Oh, maybe he's in his 30s.
I don't know. Either way, she's chasing daddy. She got daddy issues.
Yeah, all the guys that she's been with have been at least 6 years older than her. So yeah, she likes the older men.
She likes a little frost on the mountain.
I was gonna say she likes this, and no pun intended, because we talked about it earlier. She likes the silver foxes.
There you go.
So her and Rogue have something in common, except Rogue likes some geriatric.
Well, they can't run away then.
Still blows my mind. That's like, you dump Remy for Eric? Really?
Oh, thank you. You just reminded me why I thought the other reason I thought Magneto had white hair all along was, remember Joseph, his clone?
Yeah, that's right. His clone
It,
also had white hair.
yeah, he was like a 20-year-old or whatever, and he had beautiful long white hair. I mean, he was
Yeah.
like a Pantene commercial.
Yes, and Rogue went after Joseph too. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like it's really hard for me to like the character of Rogue for how she has been written, that she will ditch Gambit in a heartbeat
Yeah.
to be touched, and then gets really upset when he tries to move on, which he has in a couple of comics. There was
well,
he had one limited series where he actually was moving on from her, and he was got together with another thief.
Mm.
And then Rogue shows up.
well, I
And she
will
says
say
it's to keep an
this.
eye on him.
It makes Rogue a complete cunt,
Yeah.
but it's also kind of realistic. There are women like that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but they're
Like-
unlikable.
Trailer trash.
She wanted the physical touch from Magneto and Deadpool and all that, but she wanted the emotional love and the adulation that Gambit had for her. So it makes her very selfish.
So she chose Hamburger Helper over, at the time, Marvel's best looking, not only mutant, but superhero. Good thinking. Good thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the male superhero that other women on superhero teams would have gladly thrown themselves at if he was available and ready.
First it was Angel, then it was Longshot, then it was Gambit, and then it's like, Well, he's too heterosexual. We don't like Gambit anymore.
Oh, when X-Men #1 came out, the Jim Lee, Chris Claremont X-Men #1,
Yeah.
and Gambit kisses Jean Grey, and it turns out it's a robot, and he makes the joke about redheads having an explosive kiss, and Cyclops is like, "You deserved it," and Jean Grey just starts going off, "Well, no, those eyes, the hair, that body, makes a
Yeah.
girl think," and Cyclops is like, "I wanna kill him." So, yeah, he gave Jean Grey damp drawers, and she had no problem telling Cyclops that if they weren't together, she would be in bed with him in a heartbeat. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
even Jean Grey was like, if Cyclops didn't exist and I wasn't in love with you, I would definitely be hopping into bed with Gambit if he
Yeah.
wanted me to.
Yeah, she wasn't saying that about Havoc. That's
No,
Gambit.
no, and no, she never said that about Wolverine either. They always kept that on the DL, but when it came to Gambit, it was like, nah, he's hot. No, and he wasn't the only one. There were other comics where they were just like, God damn, dude.
Mhm.
And she chose an old man over him.
He had that magnetic attraction or something.
Yeah, that's stupid shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely stupid shit.
Hey, you can touch me? Come here, old fella. Ugh.
I still love you, Gambit, and I want you to love me too, but I'm gonna go sleep with Magneto because, his old
Yeah.
dusty balls can give me what I need.
If that was the case, she should have just been trying to sneak up on Wonder Man all the time. I mean, the
Yeah.
other person she can't. In fuck Sentry, Sentry is fan fiction at its fucking lowest. Never happened. Bullshit.
Yeah, Teweldi, yeah, they've turned all the X-women into whores. They are. They all suck.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, even Jean Grey, who was even though, she's bland and boring, she was still supposed to be the pinnacle of virtue,
Yep.
is even now a hoe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even
Yep.
Storm is a hoe.
And Storm was not like, obviously she likes showing off her body, so it wasn't like she was a prude, but she wasn't sleeping around all over the place either.
Well, originally she was from Africa. Well, she was born in the U.S. but grew up in Africa
Yeah.
and did not like wearing concealing clothing.
Right.
There's an actual part of they're in Canada at one point and she's not wearing enough clothing. She's dressed like it's summer.
Yeah.
And they're saying, look, to disguise, to fit in, you should probably put a jacket on or something. I hate jackets.
Yeah. Because she's not cold.
Yeah, she's never cold.
Yeah, her body will adjust to the temperature outside. So if it's cold outside, her body will warm up. I mean, that's, has to do with her controlling the weather. That's actually pretty brilliant. You can always be comfortable. Never too hot, never too cold.
I wish.
But yet, think about it. Even though she was, I guess a nudist. Well, no, she just didn't like to wear a lot of clothing. When she was with Ford, she didn't screw around and she was very true to him.
Right. And even when she was with T'Challa,
Yeah.
the second time when she was turned out to actually be a robot. But
I forgot she was a Doombot, right?
yeah, she was a Doom bot.
So yeah, I mean
So good that
Storm.
T'Challa's super senses couldn't tell that. So I mean, Doom got the sex dolls locked down. He's got them good ones.
I wouldn't say Kitty Pryde was a whore back in the day. She was a typical teenager that was boy crazy and bounced from crush to crush. I think she actually did lose her virginity to Pete Wisdom. That was her first very serious relationship. And they were together for a long time.
And that was well after she was 18, right? I mean, she was at least
She was
18?
in her 20s, yeah.
Okay, see, so she wasn't like a kiddo, just flopping that shit out for whatever 29-year-old to get a hold of.
No, she I think she was like 21 or 22 when she got together with Pete Wisdom. And she even said, I forget which issue it was, she lost her virginity to Pete Wisdom. And they were together for a very long time. So yeah. And even Betsy, I don't really remember Betsy dating. I just remember her dating Warren, and she was definitely not hoeing around town because she was, even though she was a tomboy and a wild child, she was still an upper class British woman that
Right.
had morals and standards and knew how to present herself.
Well, and she was still hot as fuck. I mean, she
Yeah.
was like hot as Arizona's sun. Okay.
Here's the thing about Rogue, too. Before they hoed her out,
Yeah.
she lost her virginity to Gambit. She had never been with anybody else. And then it's like after he popped her cherry, they decided to make her a hoe.
Yeah. That was in
Yeah.
space, and that when Joe Mad was drawing it, huh?
Yes, I remember that issue. I was like, yes,
Both of them
it's
had their powers.
happening.
They had their powers dampened, and they thought they were gonna die the next day. So they're like, "Fuck it," literally.
Yeah, I was so stoked when I read that
Yeah.
issue. I'm like, they finally got to have sex.
And it made
Yes!
sense. It made sense. You know, it
Yeah.
made sense. That was awesome.
Yeah, so I mean,
clap.
I remember
just-
when
yeah.
they weren't like that.
Well,
I am just, I don't know. I am so tired of hearing how they've taken all these great characters and it's just, they've degraded into being complete debaucherous. Yeah.
they should just make their own comic book characters in another universe, and they could just bed hop as superpowers and whatever else. Like Multiple Man can have a 26 with himself, and it'd be awesome.
Hey,
It would be great for them.
Tawaldi, honestly, Claremont, you had it. I mean, it was pretty much written in stone that Claremont meant for Storm and Forge to be paired for life and to ride off into the sunset. That stuff was changed later when Jim Lee and Whilce Portacio came in.
Yeah.
Because they did something so insulting to Storm, too. They had Forge get together with her arch enemy, which was Mystique at the time frame. He left Storm and went to the arms of Mystique.
Well, that's like Scott with Emma. I mean, of course they're
Well,
going to choose a bad girl. It's stupid.
And then to add insult to injury, because fans got pissed, they had him go back to Storm after he'd been banging Mystique and get back together with her and then break up with her again and go back to banging Mystique.
Well,
And I was like, that is so out of character for Forge.
They wanted him with somebody more age appropriate. Because you got to think, he's an old guy too.
Yeah, but that also, Mystique's the lesbian. Fucking why? We all knew she was in the 80s. So why are you putting her with Forge now?
She was stealing his jeans. She needed his jeans.
Oh, yeah. You know, here's the thing. For the amount of people that Mystique has slept with, why hasn't she replicated their powers and other things if she is a gene shaper?
It would actually made her more interesting too.
Oh, yeah.
It really was. I was always like, yeah, Raven Darkholme, you better be carrying a gun, because if you just look like Tony Stark, you are not Tony Stark.
Yeah.
You are not Captain America. This is not going to work once the first punch is swung.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Also, remember, Mystique was married to Charles Xavier, so why isn't she a kick-ass telepath, too? If she was this gene shaper, like they said, she should have murdered so many people by this point because she is the ultimate assassin and weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, these are all superheroes. They're all for people that haven't gotten over Saturday morning cartoons and have low IQs, have never touched a boob, and don't go outside and touch grass and live in their parents' basements. Remember.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
They don't need to base anything on anything realistic or fact-like at all, even though, can't read Marvel, the official handbook to the Marvel Universe, without learning about physics, like anything from gravity to small force to the great force to magnetism to how telepathy works in a fake fictional universe or whatever, to how teleporting works, to, you know what I mean? Like, there's all sorts of scientific explanations to everything. And these guys are like, oh, and that Wolverine punches them in the face, but they have a healing factor, so they live through it. Because everybody's got a healing factor. Gambit turns his energy into healing energy, and he heals himself now. And then Betsy, she casts telepathy on herself, So it closes the hole in her belly. Really, guys? Really?
Uh,
It's true, buddy. It's true.
Oh my
it
goodness
just hurts.
gracious.
It
It does.
hurts.
It does. And we do this to ourselves once a week.
Well, this is what I propose for next week. I would actually like to talk about Brian Braddock because I've got my Captain Britain, and that's going to be
Nice.
something more positive and fun. And Betsy's actually in the last issues. It's actually one of the issues is when Betsy's recovering after Slaymaster gouged out her eyes.
Oh, yeah. Horrific.
But I know people think it's weird, but I think it's awesome that Brian Braddock, Captain Britain, is an X-Man. I liked that, and we've talked about this before, but I liked that Claremont had brought in not one, but two characters onto the X-Men who were not mutants. Just Betsy was retconned into one. But
Which they shouldn't have done.
Yeah, Betsy and Brian were both Fae, not mutants. And while Betsy had, the Fae powers gave her originally precognition and then grew into telepathy, Brian was given, magical powers from Merlin and Roma.
Mm-hmm.
So I always liked the fact that there were two characters, and I actually don't think even Megan was originally supposed to be a mutant.
No, I think originally she was like pure Fae, if I remember correctly.
She was pure Fae.
Yeah, she's
but
Fae. That was always established. She was Fae.
Yeah, she just couldn't control the powers because she was raised abused, and so she was never trained.
Exactly. She was also an empath, so she made herself look like what she thought people wanted to see.
So I'm going to... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying real quick. Sorry. But I loved it. There was one issue of Excalibur where I forget who Captain Brian was getting his ass whomped by. He was just getting what the fuck pwned, plastered all over the place. He was still fighting. He was still trying, but he's getting smashed. And Megan just morphed herself into someone more stronger than the person that was whomping on him, and she started wiping the floor with that asshole. It was I think it was part of the Cross Time Caper. But I loved because it showed how powerful Megan was.
Well, I liked... God, I just love Excalibur so much. I mean, we've been talking about so much depressing shit for like the last 3 or 4 weeks. That's why I'm wanting to switch gears and move to the British team.
I clearly agree.
Because the British team, and I want to start with Captain Britain because I think he is one of the most unknown characters and members of the X-Men. And I think people forget he's an official X-Man. He didn't interact with Xavier very much, but whenever there were crossovers or big events with the X-Men, he was there. And Claremont had him and Megan before Excalibur started. They were dropping in and visiting the X-Men all the time until Australia. So yeah, I mean, he is an X-Man along with Megan. And so I really think he needs to be touched upon because his character is so fascinating. Whereas Captain America got his powers through science, Captain Britain got his through magic, and that fits perfectly with the mythos of the British Isles. And I think he's a fantastic character. He used to be arrogant as hell, and it did bite him in the ass.
Yeah.
But I mean, Chris Claremont, before he wrote Excalibur, when he was writing Captain Britain, had already turned Captain Britain into Doctor Who.
Oh, nice.
That he was going across space and time. There was lots of adventures in Otherworld, which is the world of the Fae. You find out that there are other Captain Britons from other realities, and they all meet in a nexus. The lighthouse that Excalibur uses was originally given to Captain Britain. That was his headquarters, and it was the nexus of all realities.
Right.
And not only that, here's something you're going to like, Ishi. The Siege Perilous originally came from the Captain Britain comics. It did not come from X-Men. The Siege Perilous is how Roma and Merlin were able to travel between realities to grab the different Captain Britons when they need them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's why I said, let's talk about Captain Britain next week. I think that it would be fun and positive to talk about the one of the rare non-mutant members of the X-Men that I feel is incredibly underrated.
Well, I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind us shifting back to talking about classic X-Men as well and classic New Mutants. I mean, that was one of the reasons we first started doing this, is we were sick of what was coming out now. We were going back through all the stuff we loved about these books.
Let's do
Oh
it.
yeah. And
Because,
like
yeah,
I
I'm
said,
really sick of hearing about all the crap Jonathan Hickman has done.
Ugh.
I'm done. I don't care. It's all
And-
meaningless anyway.
just to let you know, the writers that are in this Captain Britain Legacy of a Legend trade paperback, it's Chris Claremont, Steve Parkhouse, David Thorpe, unfortunately Alan Moore, but I did like the Mad Jim Jaspers warp. That was a great storyline. And Jamie Delano. And the pencilers are Herb Trimp, John Byrne, John Stokes, and the wonderful Alan Davis, who I absolutely adore.
And
So,
I
yeah.
happen to have right next to me right now I think it's 1988 official handbook to the Marvel Universe, which also has the Captain Britain edition into it. So
Nice.
if you want to look at his
Nice.
old power set, I can look that up very easily. It's like within arm's reach right now.
No, go for it. Because, yeah, his power set.
Well, next week.
Well, yeah, not right now, but I mean, his power set did kind of change because they were still trying to flesh him out as they wrote him. By the time you get to Excalibur, I mean, his power set is pretty much there. You know, magic-based strength, magic-based flight.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll go into that. We'll go into all that. It's cool.
Yeah, so
Very
yeah,
cool.
we'll do an episode on Captain Britain. I really hope you guys will enjoy it because I really do I love the Braddock family. One of the best families to ever enter the Marvel Universe, in my opinion.
Won't argue there. All right, so thank you all for joining us. Always keep those topics coming. And
get your hands
remember,
on Ishii's Boobs of Steel.
Yes, you want to read Boobs of Steel, one of the best pop culture books you will ever read, under J.Ishiro Finney on Amazon.com. You get it in print. The print version's better than the digital one, because I was able to include tons of photographs and a lot of extra content that wouldn't cooperate with the Kindle format. But anyway, thank you for joining us. And remember, it's pronounced Jonathan Hickman.
And like.